Hello and welcome back to the channel. I have completed the Necropolis. All 6 paths are done. They're in the books. Um, Overall, very, very good content. I actually found myself at times actually enjoying endgame content for the first time. A lot of that was due to my approach that I started kind of after path two, really. Going into path two and path one, my mindset was a little bit different, and I'll kind of go over that in this video. So, really, the best way that I thought to kind of recap everything and to share my thoughts and some follow up on my farming video was to just kind of go path by path through the Necropolis, explain kind of my thought process, explain how I approach things, what I did, what my team was, where my issues were, and what I had. So, with that, let's jump into it and look at path one. So, path one was the Titania path. In this path, I used 39 20% revives, 40 35 40% revives, sorry about that, 18 60% revives, and 24 team revives. A lot of revives. Now, my mindset going into this was I was going to try to do this content, quote unquote, the right way. I was going to, heal up. I was going to try and do my best to, you know, fight the nodes the way they were supposed to be, to really just kind of play the content based on the way I think the designers wanted it to be played. So for this run, I didn't have any recoils on. That was my first mistake. You know, Alliance War was in the placement phase. I didn't want to change masteries. We needed to win in Alliance War. It was more important. But at the same time, I had time and I wanted to run Necropolis. I was off, from work and had the afternoon. So, that was part of it. Like I said, I did heal to full for most fights. This path took me over 5 hours to complete. It was a long grind. It was, in a way, painful. And near the end, especially when I got to the Grand Master, I was not in the right mindset. I was tired. I was ready to be done, and it cost me a lot of those revives. Aegon for this path was only at rank 4. That was the other mistake that I made in this one. I was going to try and do it all with Aegon at rank 4. No recoils, and Aegon only at rank 4 is slow. And for this path, I didn't farm revives. I did not start doing that yet. For this path, instead, I bought the deals at the end of Conqueror, Uncollected, Cavalier, and Thronebreaker. So 3,700 units to get me the revives that I thought I would need and all of the 30% champion boosts that I would need for both Necropolis and for Alliance War and for other things. So, overall, I struggled. There was a couple fights. Airwalker was very, very painful on this path with my team. I did not enjoy it at all on this run. Didn't really enjoy Grandmaster. Like I said, I was frustrated. I was tired, just ready to be done with it at that point. So overall, the team that I brought in was Nick Fury, Aegon, Proxima, Wiccan, and Heimdall. Don't think I would change the team. I would definitely make sure that Aegon was rank 5 and Wiccan was rank 5. He was only rank 3. Either rank 3 or rank 4, rank 4 or rank 5 would have been ideal there. But, overall, was able to get it done. Took more revives, a little bit more painful, a little bit longer than I would like, though. So overall, though, decent first run at it. Wasn't the best. I don't think it would be the worst either. So jumping to path 2, which was the Mr. Fantastic path. This one, 31 20% revives, 12 40% revives, 5 60% revives. Not sure on the team. I didn't capture it before. Did not see me using team revives in there, but I'm not watching the 4.5 hour video in detail to really find out if I used any. I may have used a couple. It's not substantial either way. So for this one, this path had one of my only solos. It may have been my only solo in all of the Necropolis, and that was Shuri versus Namor. So the second fight in path, able to get a solo. Great start to it. Worked very well. Was able to get close on Atuma as well, but kind of messed up at the end there and had to use a couple of revives just because I kept messing up at when he was under 20%. For this path, I did take Aegon up to R5, much better. I did run recoils on this path for everything except for Mr. Fantastic, Namor, Captain Britain, Wiccan, and Psycho Man. The last 4 on there was because they were Shuri fights and not using Aegon. This one, A little bit quicker, took about 4.5 hours. For this path, I did farm up. This was the start of my farm. 46, 20% revives, and that was done in 5.4.6 and 4.3.3 mainly. And that was using the energy refills that I had gotten from buying the end of event quest deals. So I had a lot of energy refills to use. That path cost me 0 units. Team, Shuri, Aegon, Proxima, Juggernaut, and Heimdall. Don't think I would change anything there. Worked well. Really just wanted to do this with Aegon and not with any of the others. So that one worked fairly well for me as well. Overall, enjoyment level on that one was a little bit higher, a little bit less stress, understood the fights a little bit better, and kind of got through it. Once again, though, still Airwalker was probably the most frustrating fight on that path. Okay, path 3. And this was the one that started with Sauron. Sauron was the toughest fight on the path. Getting Aegon build up on Sauron was not fun. I used most of my revives. I think I used, I want to say 15 building them up, somewhere in that range. May have been more, may have been less. I said it in the video, but once again, I wasn't going back to watch all these to get exacts. These are going to be pretty darn close. So for revives, 52 20%ers, 1040, 160. And once again, not sure if I used any team or not. I probably did, but it wouldn't have been substantial because I did not buy any team revives. Kind of notes you can see: no recoils for Sauron, Captain Britain, Wiccan, and Psycho Man. Once again, Sauron was an Aegon fight. The other 3 were Shuri fights. And then my full mastery, full offensive mastery build for the rest of them. For this path, I did ascend Aegon. I had debated, taking him to R5. Glad I did. I debated ascending him. Glad I did. So, take that for what it is. This one only took about 3 hours. And for this path, I farmed up about 76, 20% revives. Once again, using the energy refills that I already had, and cost me 0 units. Team was Shuri, Aegon, Proxima, Juggernaut, and Heimdall. Once again, don't think I would change anything on that. That team works very well for that left-hand side. So let's jump over to the right-hand side for the first time and look at path 4. Path 4, this was where farming and my mindset changed. You can see the number of 20% revives I used at 77. This was a full-out Aegon brute force blitz. I had put out the farming video right before I started farming for this one, and my mindset had changed. They announced the nerf to farming, and my mindset was, okay, well, if they're going to nerf farming and I can't do it, I'm going to take advantage of it for these last few paths, and I am just going to overwhelm the path with Aegon and revives. So really on this one, no recoils for Jubilee, Diablo, and half of Gallon. Diablo was a Shuri fight. Gallon was going to be a Wiccan fight. But once again, I said Wiccan was only R3 and not a good idea. It just wasn't doing any damage. So on this path, I did use 77 20% revives, 140%, and 460%. No team, at least that I could find. That one I did look at a little bit closer. So, the farm paid off. A lot less stress. A lot, yeah, there was mistakes. Yeah, there were fights I didn't know. I was learning that right-hand side for the first time. Strife, I believe, is on that path. There was a couple in there that I struggled with, just kind of getting to know. The Nova fight was a little bit of a pain. Just a couple of them, just had to learn. Sorry, it was right-hand side. Strife was on the left-hand side. It was the Sandman fight and the Spidey Supreme fight that I struggled with that first time through, kind of learning those and the best way to handle them. So overall, enjoyment level was pretty good, and that did have the Strife on that lane. So, a couple things in there that were just a pain to deal with, but overall, the enjoyment level was a little bit higher. So, we're going to go ahead now and look at path 5 since I've rambled on long enough about path 4 and just completely forgetting everything about it, I guess. So path 5, the absolute most fun I have ever had in endgame content, period. This was just a full out, if path 4 was a full out Aegon Blitz, I took it up another level. This one, I had spent some time farming up. I used 75 20%ers, 11 40%ers, no 60, no team. and no recoils for Red Goblin. Recoils everywhere else. Full offensive mastery build. And this one I did as a speed run. This one, I kind of let it fly a little bit. I had the revives in there, kind of got a feeling for how many I would need doing the last path. And this one I was letting, doing 4-hit combos, standing there, letting a hit into me while I was, unblockable, and, getting my furies build up and just going fast as I could, getting hit, being reckless, just enjoying Aegon being Aegon and just letting him smash. Whole path only took about 2 hours. Absolutely the most fun I had. And before I started this one, I farmed up about 40%, 20% revives using mostly energy refills that I had. I did have to buy a few before the end of this. So I think it was roughly about 240 units, somewhere in that range. So about 12-ish energy refills, somewhere in that range. Not going to be 100% exact, but that's pretty close. My team going into this one was Odin, Aegon, Proxima, Juggernaut, and Heimdall. Like I said, completely Aegon path, no changing, no other champions, just brute force smashing and having fun. So if you want to have fun doing this content, that is what I recommend. And let's move forward to the last path. Just completed this last night. Path 6. Once again, another fun path. It took a little bit longer than the first one or than path 5, but kind of the same process, same thoughts going into it. This one, 69, 20% revives, 15, 40% revives, and 17 revives. For this one, no recoils just for Odin. Everything else, full offensive masteries. Once again, letting Aegon get hit for big furies and fighting fast, just going through it, just, letting him blast, just, being in there to enjoy. Before this one, I did farm up about 57, 20% revives. Approximately on this one, about 750 units. So a lot of energy refills, not going to lie. And I did buy one of the end of unit deal or end of event quest deals for about 700 units. And that's at the end of Conqueror. Just wanted to make sure that I had enough 30% revives. I had some that expired in this process, but wanted to keep them full also for Alliance War coming up. So team, once again, Odin, Aegon, Proxima, Juggernaut, Heimdall. Overall, 5 and 6, most fun I've ever had in any endgame content. Didn't stress, didn't struggle, enjoyed my time in there. And that makes a huge, huge difference for me, which is why I did the revive farm. Now, what does all that mean? We've run the 6 paths. Looking at my mastery build, for those that have asked, here it is. Full offensive mastery build. Could have thrown more points into offense. Could have taken some out of defense. It's just what I decided to run. So that's kind of a quick look at my masteries. Running recoils. Putting the enhanced furies on. 3 out of 3 in courage. So could have done more to ramp up his damage, but I was comfortable running this and it worked well. Now, looking at the overalls, you're going to see some big numbers here. Overall, 343 20% revives, 84 40% revives, 28 60% revives, and 31 team revives. May not be 100%. I may be off. Give it plus or minus 10. And what I did here was I counted the team revives as 3 individual revives. Sometimes it was 2 champions, sometimes it was 3, sometimes it was all 5 I was reviving. So I figured that's probably about the average. So a total number of revives of about 579 for all 6 paths. Roughly 100 a path. Maybe a little bit less, 95, something like that. But, right at 100 revives. And I'm comfortable with that number. Could I have done it with less? Oh, yeah. There's no doubt I could have done it with less, but it would have caused me more stress, been slower, and just not as much fun. So, take that for what it is. Units spent directly on revives, 0. Yes, I bought end of unit deals, but those were also providing me energy refills and also providing me boosts and other things. So yes, I did get revives out of those, but I understand how that thought goes. And I bought most of those before I put out the farming video. Units spent on energy refills, roughly 1,000 units, give or take a little bit, not much more than that. If anything, it may have been 1,060, 1,090, close to 1,000 units. So looking at it, units spent on the end of the event quest deals was 4,400 units. So total, let's say 5,400 units. Units saved by farming. If I had spent 40 units on each of the 579 revives that I used, it would have cost me 23,160 units to run Necropolis. Okay, I want to repeat that. 23,160 units if I had spent 40 units on each of the revives. So I saved approximately 17,760 units by doing the farming. Now, there is a downside to farming. It does take time. It took me a considerable amount of time. I would be at work at my desk sitting here, and for about 7 or 8 hours a day while I was working, I was auto farming revives. Not every second, but more or less, keeping it going as best I could while I was working. That was time I was in game, and I understand, like I put in that video, I understand completely Kabam's thought process on getting rid of the revive farm. This kind of proves it. I did save, a considerable amount of time or a considerable amount of units at the cost of being in the game for a considerable amount of time. So to me, it is one of two things. It's either you use your time or you use your units. I really wish they would keep it in there. It made the content a lot more fun. Kabam, if you're listening, the content was fun this way. It was less stress. It was enjoyable. And just overall, I know it cost you, saved me units, cost you a little bit of income, but I wasn't going to use units I bought for this anyway. I would use units that I got from running Arena. So I'm going to get those units through putting time in the game one way or another. This just made it more enjoyable. That's kind of the way I look at it overall. To me, much more fun, much happier with the outcome. Very, very pleased with overall the way Necropolis was the most fun that I had in any end game content. I enjoyed the reward structure. Always wish there was more, but that's just the way it is. I enjoy doing this content early while the rewards are still relevant. But overall, you can kind of see the enjoyment level was there. I had fun, and I think that's the bottom line. I did it my way. My way may not be the best way. I know it's not the best way. It may not be, the way you want to do it, but overall, it was fun for me. Find a way that's fun for you. Enjoy the content, enjoy the ride, and that's, really just kind of how I want to leave this one. And with that, I just want to thank you all very much. Please leave a like and subscribe if you would, and look out for future live streams and more content coming your way. Want to thank you all for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.